I realized I have not done a video blog in months, and I know I'm really behind the times on this, but I did watch the Real Housewives of New Jersey reunion, and I have to say, I was not impressed. Now, the whole thing with Teresa, here's my view on the whole deal. I think everybody kind of attacked Teresa. Did she deserve it? Honestly, a little bit. Um, it seemed like the reunion, and not just the reunion, every single episode of the Real Housewives of New Jersey, when one of the women has a problem with another one of the cast members, they don't. Maybe this is just a Jersey thing, but it seems like they don't. They don't really talk it out. Like, I don't know. They'll go to somebody's house and they'll, start to talk it out. They'll say, "Hey, guess what? This is my problem that I have with you." And I've noticed this mostly with Teresa. I don't want to single anybody out, but mostly with Teresa, I've noticed that there's no civil confrontation. They go to somebody's house, they say, "Hey, this is a problem that I have with you," and immediately there's screaming and yelling and pointing fingers and raising voices, and it's horrible. That's not that's not how I was raised to handle conflicts. I don't know how these women were raised to handle conflicts, how Teresa was raised to handle conflicts. Maybe it's a Jersey thing. I don't know. I'm not from Jersey. I would have no idea. Um, Jacqueline was not there. I have no idea why. They said that something had happened the day before. She did not want to go because she could not make herself look at Teresa. So obviously it had something to do with Teresa. That's the most obvious because it seems like all their problems now have something to do with Teresa. Do I blame them? No. Um, she doesn't let things go. Teresa will not let things go. With the whole, uh, leaving her daughter unattended. She denied it over and over and over again. "I did not leave my daughter unattended. I would not leave my kid unattended, blah, blah, blah." Guess what? She left her daughter unattended. It was right there on the cameras, and I don't know why she thinks she can get away with denying it or lying about things when her entire life is on camera. The entire world has seen her leave her child unattended. And she denied it over and over and over again. The comment that Kathy made to her while they were in Punta Cana was not intended to hurt her or insult her. It had nothing to do with her leaving her daughter unattended. Teresa took it that way. She took it that step, and it's not, it wasn't meant that way. What she meant, and that's the problem with Teresa. She takes things too literally, too personally. She thinks of everything as an attack on her. And you know what? The world does not revolve around Teresa. She likes to think so, and she sees everything as an attack on her. That's not the case. Kathy never meant that as an attack. That's how Teresa took it. She did not just say, "Hey, Kathy, that hurt my feelings because this is how I thought you meant it." She immediately just kept attacking and started yelling and had to get her husband on her side. Not very impressive. He doesn't seem like he's all that smart anyway. Again, I don't know these people personally. I can't speak for people, but I can see how everybody has a problem with Teresa. The cookbook issue, that really kind of got me a little bit because a cookbook is for recipes. If you want to share family photos and family history, most cookbooks with words in it, with stories, they're heritage stories. Like, oh, this is what my grandmother did back in like 1948. This is where the recipe came from. Here's the story behind it. Teresa took it to a whole new level. You know, putting people down, criticizing people's family, making jokes. Those were not jokes. Those were insults. Those were put downs. You don't do that in a cookbook. You sure as hell don't take somebody's family and write insults about their family in a cookbook that you're planning on selling to the world. The little jab she made about Caroline's son that was completely overstepping her bounds. That's not what a cookbook is. And Caroline was right. It was a bashing book. It was not a cookbook. She had no right, and there was absolutely no reason for her to do that. I'm not saying, I'm not completely sticking up for Caroline. I'm not, giving any personal, preference towards any of the ladies, saying, this lady's my favorite. I'm going to stick up for her. I'm going to bash the people that she doesn't like. I'm just saying it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair to Teresa to do that. She had no reason to do that. Yes, she brought up somebody's child. It's one thing to bash an adult friend and use it as a joke. It's a completely different thing to bring in somebody's child. And I can guarantee you, if somebody had written a cookbook with a story about Teresa in it and brought up one of her daughters and made a little joke about their daughters, or, a personal, memory and made fun of it, Teresa would have fucking attacked. You don't bring people's kids into it. And that was completely uncalled for. I think, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist. My personal view on the whole Teresa thing, she was completely normal in season 1. As normal as Teresa can be. As she gained notoriety, as, the Real Housewives of New Jersey, their fame grew, she completely changed. It's normal for people to change when they become famous. Everybody does it. Any famous person who says they have not changed since day one is a complete fucking liar. Because when you get famous, you gain notoriety, you get money, it's going to change you. I can guarantee if I ever became famous, it would change me completely. I don't think my personality would change, but everything around me, my environment, the way I reacted to the environment, just the way that I perceive things would completely change. And that happened to Teresa. It happened to all the housewives. It happens to everybody. But Teresa, I think, is the most changed. She went from being completely normal in season 1 to being like the Danielle of this last season. She's completely turned into the villain. I don't think she's, and with all the problems that she and her husband have had with the money problems, they're stressed out. I can understand how that would completely change them and make them more confrontational and more defensive about things. And Teresa puts on this happy face, like, oh, we're going bankrupt. We had to, we have all these money problems, all the things going on in the press. We have money problems. We had to go bankrupt, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to put a smile on my face and just pretend everything's okay. Because it's not okay. And I don't know, she thinks she has to pretend that it's okay just for show. A lot of people do that. I do that. Normal people do it. But she doesn't have to do it. We all know about it. So why would you downplay it and deny it? It's not serious. Anybody filing for bankruptcy can't take that lightly. Nobody's going to take that lightly. Your husband having legal problems, that's legal problems. All you have to do is acknowledge it and say, yes, this is what my husband is being charged with, this is what he's being accused of. Don't turn it around and say, oh, well, the guy that he was working with at the time completely fucked him over, and so now he's in trouble. Don't turn it around. Take responsibility for it. Maybe it's not Joe's fault. But Teresa still needs to take accountability and responsibility for the things that are going on in her family and her life. and not turn it around and blame everybody else, because we know she's not perfect. We know Joe's not perfect. We know that family's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. She just needs to take accountability and responsibility for it. Now, Jacqueline was not there, like I said before, and I read in a magazine, so it's probably not all that credible, that, in online reports, that she didn't show up because she thought Danielle was going to show up and confront her with her supposedly being a stripper, like a really long time ago. Here's my view on that. No one cares. Honestly, Jacqueline was a single mom. She had a daughter. She was a single parent. She needed to provide for her daughter. She needed a way. I don't know. I don't care if she was a stripper. I don't know. Nobody cares. Honestly, being a stripper is probably, I don't want to say it's the best choice. But if you're a single parent, you're struggling to make ends meet, you have to take care of your child, be a stripper. It's good money. You meet lots of rich guys in the strip club. If she met Chris in a strip club, great, good for her. Because they met, they fell in love. He's a great guy. I am secretly in love with him because he's gorgeous, and he's gorgeous, and he's patient, and from what I've seen on The Real Housewives is that he's pretty much perfect. So you know what, Jacqueline? If you were a stripper, if you did meet Chris in a strip club, good for you. That's awesome. That's great. I think that, when you're a parent, I myself am a parent. When you're a parent, I was a single parent for 4 years. I had 2 kids. I was a single parent for 4 years. I was never a stripper, but I worked like 3 or 4 jobs at a time. I was struggling. It's hard. And when you're a parent, you will do whatever you have to do to make ends meet and to provide for your family and for your kids and make sure that they have everything they need. If you need to be a stripper, fine, be a stripper. It's not something I personally would have done, but you know what? More power to her. She, I don't know if she was a stripper. I don't know if she wasn't. I don't know why anybody cares. I think it's a great thing that she, if she was a stripper, if she wasn't, I don't care. Either way, she was a single parent. She was trying to make ends meet. She did what she had to do. She met Chris. They fell in love. Her life is perfect, pretty much. On the outside, her life is perfect. She has a wonderful husband, a huge house. She's got great kids. So, you know what? Who cares if she was a stripper? I applaud her if she was a stripper because, you know what? More power to you. And that's my whole view on everything. The whole feud between Melissa and Teresa is ridiculous. It's very obvious that Melissa and Teresa are essentially the same person. They have a lot in common. They're basically the same person. Neither one of them will ever admit it, but they are. And I can see how Teresa would be completely jealous of Melissa. Teresa is getting older. She's really not that gorgeous anymore. Melissa's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She looks young. Teresa just gradually looks older. And she's not, I'm not saying she's not pretty because she is. She's beautiful. But she's not as beautiful as she used to be because she's getting older. Nobody is ever as beautiful as they used to be. 10 years from now, I'm going to wish I could still look like this. This isn't much. I don't think I look very good most of the time. But 10 years from now, I'm going to look back on pictures of myself and I'm going to be like, God damn, I was beautiful. I wish I could look like that again. Nobody looks good as they get older. Nobody. Demi Moore, yeah, she's pretty, but she's whatever. She doesn't look healthy. That's whatever. But I'm not talking about Demi Moore or actual celebrities. I'm talking about real people. I can definitely see how she would be jealous of Melissa. And it's not just in the looks department. It's definitely not in the looks department. Teresa doesn't have any boys. Melissa has 2. Teresa and Joe have been going through money problems. Melissa and Joey don't have money problems. They pay their bills. They get everything done on time. Whatever. They don't have money problems. They have lots of money. She has beautiful things. They have a gorgeous house. It's huge. I wouldn't know what to do with myself in a house that big. I wouldn't. Um, I can definitely see how Teresa would be jealous of Melissa. And with, the whole argument that broke out at the reunion about uh, Teresa being pissed because Melissa didn't tell her she was going to be on the show. I don't remember what all was said and what all went on. I don't remember the story behind that, but who cares? Like, seriously, Teresa? Was it going to be any different? Like, what do you care if she was on the show or not? You know, like, why did she have to tell you she was going to be on the show? Why did she have to get your approval to be on the show? I don't understand that. I really don't. There was also a comment made by Teresa that everybody just kind of attacked her for it, and I feel bad because I don't think Teresa understood why they were so upset. And in true Jersey fashion, instead of saying, hey Teresa, this is why we're upset, this is why that comment upset us, because this is how we heard it, they just started attacking right away and yelling and pointing fingers. And, that's what they do in Jersey apparently. Teresa's comment was they were talking about Gia and, letting her watch footage and whatever. And Teresa said something to the effect of, I have asked her, how she wants me to handle that. Now, when you say something like that, when you say, I have asked my daughter how she wants me to handle that situation, she might as well have said, I've asked my daughter how to parent her. That's how I heard it. That's how everybody else heard it. That's how the other housewives heard it. That's how I heard it. That's probably how a million other viewers heard it as well. That maybe not how she meant it, but that's how everybody heard it. You don't ask your child how to handle a situation. You are the parent, you are the adult, that's your job. That's not your 10-year-old daughter's job to tell you how to handle a situation. You're an adult, handle it yourself. That's, whatever. I don't think Teresa understood why everybody was attacking her for that. But that's it is what it is. That's what she said. She can't take it back. But and I don't know how everybody else heard it. That's how I heard it, and that's how I'm assuming the other housewives heard it, was, I'm asking my 10-year-old daughter how to parent her. That's not what you do. Like, again, you're the adult, you're the parent. That's your job. You don't ask a 10-year-old how to parent you. That's the child. It's your job to parent the child, not the other way around. And that's kind of how it seems like it's been with Gia and Teresa. Gia's, mature beyond her years. And, with the comment that she made to Teresa the night that she was singing the song for Joey and Teresa, Teresa was like, oh, we love each other, oh, I'm going to put on my happy face and nothing's wrong, we love each other. And Gia was like, then start acting like it. Bravo, Gia. That was, like, exactly what everybody else was thinking. Don't put on a show for the cameras. That's not what the show is for. You're supposed to be yourself. You're supposed to show everybody what Jersey housewives are really like. You're not supposed to put on a show for people. That's not reality. Telling your kid one thing and telling, in your little interviews, like during the episode or whenever you do it, whatever, that everything's okay, and then turning around and, having the camera right there while you're talking to somebody and you completely do a different thing while you're, like, in the scene and you're, whatever, saying something and doing a completely different thing. You can't do that in reality TV because everybody is listening to what you're saying. Everybody is watching you. There's no point in putting on a show. There's no point in lying and putting on a happy face and pretending everything's okay when it's not, because everybody can see that it's not okay. I don't know, guys. That is my whole take on basically the whole season of the New Jersey Housewives. I did leave out Kathy because I adore her. I love Kathy. I think she's a wonderful mother. all the housewives are wonderful mothers. But Kathy's kids have definitely grown up to be respectable, responsible, great kids. And I think she and Jeff Goldblum have a beautiful family and they're wonderful parents. I love them to death. I do. They're probably, personal opinion, they're probably my favorite people on the New Jersey Housewives because they're probably the only like actual real people on there. They don't. I didn't get the impression that they were putting on a show for anybody. They did what they normally do, and they put their kids first and their family first, and they don't attack people. Kathy is really patient and she's she's wise. Has these little sayings sometimes that I'm just like, huh. That was a really really cool thing to say. But that was my whole take on the whole deal. And I hope you all like it. And I cannot wait for the next season.